in the human's body. Now see, the muscular tissue, they are made up of muscle fibers. Okay, and all of our movements in our body, these muscles are responsible for that. And the reason why these muscles can help us perform those movements, it's because they have certain properties. They have this ability to contract and relax. Right? Now imagine a situation that you want to get something from the top shelf. So you went on your tippy toes and you stretched your hand to get it, and then you stayed that way. Imagine if our muscles did not have the property of elasticity, no matter in whichever direction we would have stretched in, we would have stayed there. Getting my point? Okay, also please switch on your video.
Yes.
So since the muscles have this ability to contract and relax, which is called as the elasticity, and this elasticity is there in them because of the two special contractile proteins that they have. It's actin and myosin. Okay, so because of these two proteins, they have this property of elasticity. Okay, so meaning whenever we stretch our body or whenever we produce any kind of motion, then our body is able to contract and relax. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, depending upon the location and the type, the muscles, they are of three types: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. Now, when we talk about skeletal muscles, these are also called as the voluntary muscles or striated muscles. Now, the reason why they are called as voluntary, because they are responsible for all sorts of movements that are associated with the the movements that are under our control. For example, if I ask you to pick your hand up, or if I ask you to nod your head, you'll be able to do so, right? So these motions, or if I'll ask you to speak anything, you will be able to speak, you'll be able to get up, stand, and walk, and all of that. So all of those motions or all of those activities that you can do whenever you want to do it, right? Which is under your control, under your own will, right? So they are regulated by these muscles. Okay, these are the muscles that are directly attached to the bones, and they are also known as striated muscles. Now, the striated names comes from their appearance. They have an appearance sort of like stripes are present on it, one dark stripe, one light stripe, one dark, one light, just like how black and white lines are there. But here, dark and light stripes are there, because of which they are also known as striated muscles. Now, the cells of this particular muscles, they are long, they are cylindrical. Cylindrical means they are cylinder-like cells. Okay, and they are unbranched. So there is no branching in the case of skeletal muscles, and they are multinucleated, meaning like in the muscles there are multiple nuclei present. Clear? Now they are directly under our control, so we call them as the voluntary muscles. You can control them just the way you want to, so we call that as the voluntary muscles. Now the muscles of our limbs, meaning our forelimbs means our hands, and our hind limbs means our legs. Both of them are under our control, right? So these muscles that are associated with these activities that are under our control, so we call it as the voluntary muscles or skeletal muscles or striated muscles. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the second muscles are smooth muscles. Now smooth muscles are called as involuntary muscles. Now you're sitting here. If I ask you to, like, Afshin, you have to stop your heart from beating right now. It's my order. Will you be able to do so?
No, ma'am.
No. Or like, for example, if I remove your specs and I'll be like, okay, I'm bringing a very sharp object near your eyes and you don't have to blink. First of all, you'll think, ma'am, how cruel you are. Why are you doing this to me? Secondly, you'll be like, ma'am, this is not possible, isn't it? Why? Because there are certain things, there are certain activities in our body that are not under our control. That goes on even if we don't want, right? For example, if someone asks you to not blink, you can't let that happen. You will have to blink. Also, when you go to sleep, right, you don't have to remind yourself, or you don't have to ask your body or ask your brain to make you breathe. You breathe throughout the night, right? Your heart beats all the time. So all these motions that are not under our control, we call them as involuntary motions or activities or action. And these are the muscles that control the involuntary activities, smooth muscles. Okay. Now, the smooth muscles, they do not have a striated appearance, so they are unstriated. They are spindle shaped and uninucleated. Now, they are not multinucleated, they just have single nucleus present in them, and they have a spindle shape, which is also called as fusiform. It's like it's thicker in the middle and then it tapers at the end. It like gets thin at the end, just like how I've drawn here. This is how it looks like. Okay, so they are spindle shaped, they are fusiform in shape, and they are uninucleated. Talking about where is it present? So it is present in the iris of the eye, meaning this part, the colored part of the eye. Then it is present in the uterus. It is also present in the bronchi of the lungs, meaning all those areas that are not under our control. Then comes the cardiac muscles. Now, the cardiac muscles are the specialized muscles that are only there for the heart. Okay, anything that is cardiac means related to the heart. So the muscles that are present in the heart, we call them as the cardiac muscles. Obviously, they'll also be involuntary, not under our control or will. Their appearance is cylindrical, but they are branched. Skeletal muscles were cylindrical, but they were not branched. But here, cardiac muscles are cylindrical and they are branched and multinucleated. And where is it present? So obviously, it's present in the heart. So the muscles are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
All right. You can be asked to differentiate in between the types of muscles. You can be asked about one muscle also, and like that, the questions can come. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So after that, we have the nervous tissue, which is the last kind, right? So talking about the nervous tissue, so these, like all the, like our brain, our spinal cord, and the nerves in our body, right? These are the components of our nervous system, and they are made up of the nervous tissue. And just like how we say that cell is the basic unit of life, without cell, no organism would be existing or would be living, isn't it? When we talk about the nervous system, the one unit or the fundamental or the functional unit of this nervous tissue is the neuron. A neuron is the functional or structural unit of the nervous tissue. Okay, now the cells of the nervous tissue, they are highly specialized. Now, for example, if I show you something, okay, for example, if I show you a pen or anything of that sort, as soon as you look at it, you understand what it is, isn't it? Do you take time to comprehend what is like ma'am showing? Isn't it? You don't take time. Why? Because as soon as you see anything, your brain start like the information from your eyes is sent to the brain, and the brain comprehends it for you, interprets the message that is going to it, and then tells you what it is. Right? That's what happens, and this happens in fractions of seconds. It does not take that much of time. Right? So why does it happen in fractions of second? It's because our nervous tissue, because
Ma'am, your voice got cut off in the middle. It came back now.
is it fine now though?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you not hear? Tell me again so that I'll speak it again.
After the part where you said that the eye sends the message to the brain.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was talking about the reaction time, right? So I was saying that as soon as we see something, immediately we know what we are looking at, right? Why? Because as soon as we look at something, the eyes send the message to the brain, and the brain interprets that message and tells us what it is. So, and this happens in fractions of seconds, isn't it? You look at something and you immediately know what you're looking at. So this is because of the neurons. The neurons are so specialized, they are so specialized that they can do so in very, very small amount of time. Okay. So when we talk about it, the cells of the nervous tissue, they are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another in the body. Okay, they like transmit the impulses very quickly. So that is why the neurons, they are the functional unit. If you remove neurons, the nervous tissue or our nervous system would be zero. Okay, so now after that, now since we have discussed about the neurons, we must know how the neuron or what are the parts that are present in the neuron. So this is a typical diagram of a neuron. Okay. So talking about what parts are there in the neuron, first of all, it has the cyton, which is called as the cell body. So this star-shaped structure that you're seeing, this is the cyton. In the middle of the cyton, there is the nucleus, and also it has the cytoplasm. Clear? Apart from, like, it has a very dense cytoplasm, meaning a very thick cytoplasm. Now, these branch-like structures that you see that arises from the cell body, we call them as the dendrites. These are the dendrites. What they do is that they gather information from everywhere and they bring it to the cell body. Okay. Now, from the cell body arises this long extension, which we call as the axon. And at the end of every single neuron, there is this bulb-like structure. Okay, and we call it as the nerve endings. Okay, these are the nerve endings of a neuron. So many a times in your exam, maybe you will be asked to draw the diagram of a neuron. Like they'll ask you to draw a well-labeled diagram of a neuron. So you should know what are the following labelings. These are very, very important. Okay, and then one by one, I'll tell you the function of each one of them. So up until now, is everything clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Now see, talking about the parts that are there in the neuron, the first one, like I told you, is the cell body, which you can also call as the cyton. It contains a nucleus and a dense cytoplasm. From there comes the axon, which is the single long part that is responsible for carrying the impulse from one neuron to another. Then the dendrites, these are the branched parts that arise from the cell body and they gather all sorts of information. And the length of the nerve cell, remember that in our body, the longest cell is the nerve cell. Right? Like the smallest cell is the cell of a bacteria. The biggest cell is the egg of an ostrich. And the longest cell is the neuron cell. Okay. So neuron is the longest cell. Many nerve fibers, they bound together by connective tissue and they make up a nerve. So several nerve fibers which are made up of neurons, they come together and then they form the nerves that we have, like the veins and all of that we have in our body. And the signal which passes through these nerves or the nerve cells, we call it as the nerve impulse. It is like the information that travels in our body, which our brain reads and tells us what is. Now, the movements of the muscles in the body is because of the nerve impulse. So the nervous system, the muscular system, these are very coordinated. Okay. Apart from that, they are also connected with the skeletal system. So when we walk, when we jump, when we do any kind of motion from our body, it's like a collective thing of our nervous system, our muscular system, and our skeletal system. They are like working together to produce any kind of motions. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, lastly, we have the functions of the nervous tissue. So the nervous tissue, they receive and transmit the stimulus very rapidly from the sense organs or from the receptors to the brain and the spinal cord in the form of impulses. So the first thing, the most important thing or important function that the nervous tissue has to perform is that it transmits the impulses very quickly from the sense organ. Like we have 5 sense organs, right? What are the sense organ? Do you people know?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
The skin, the eye, the ears, the nose, and the eyes.
Skin is there, eyes are there, then ears are there, nose is there, and obviously the last one is the tongue. Okay, so these are the sense organ in our body, right? Skin is for the sense of touch, the sense of heat. Eyes are for the sense of sight. Ears is for the hearing. Nose is for the sense of smell, and tongue is for the sense of taste. So all of these senses that we do get from all of these sense organs, they are immediately sent to the brain and the spinal cord in the form of impulses. Impulses means information or in the form of signals. Okay, the signal is sent to the brain. Then the message or the impulse or the signal is interpreted by the brain and the response is sent back to the muscles. So for example, if let's just say, if you have tasted something very bitter or something very sour, right? So now the information is quickly sent to the brain, and then what do you do normally when you eat something sour? You either try to spit it out or you make a face, isn't it? That sour face we make. So that is the response to it. For example, if your eyes is looking at something dangerous, right? For example, if there is a snake right in front of you, so you saw it, your brain tells you, oh, this is a snake. So what will your immediate impulse be? You have to run, isn't it, to save your life? So immediately the response, whatever is supposed to be the motion later on, it is sent to the muscles, and then you create a motion. Apart from that, the nervous tissue helps to regulate the voluntary and the involuntary muscles. Clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, now you people can note it down. So you have to note down from tendons, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm done.
Both of you are done?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I finished writing this.
Both of you are done?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, done.
Ma'am, I finished writing this.
Both of you are done?
Yes, ma'am.
Then, students?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I finished it.
Also, tell me, students, since the animal tissues part is over, so what shall we start next in the next class? Shall we
Ma'am,
complete the plant tissues?
okay, ma'am.
Is that fine with both of you? Like, so that this whole entire chapter gets completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.